lads, we're back again for UFC 315. This time we're in Canada. This week we're in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So I'm playing a bit of a risky game because all the Canadian fighters should win. I'm going to say that right off the bat. I'm playing a very risky game, playing a very risky one for myself. I'm playing a very, very hard game that if there's even a close fight, the biggest robberies in probably history of the UFC have happened in Canada. Kind of the reason Joe Rogan won't go there. I know he doesn't like the country anyways and they won't validate his stuff, but another reason is these robberies. Jamie Lynn Hoot, if you don't know who that is, has one of the worst robberies in probably UFC history. She lost all 3 rounds of women's fight and gets I think it was if I remember correctly, that was I think actually it was 30-27 somehow. I think they switched it. It was absolutely diabolical, but look, what I'm going to do now is we're going to go down and get into it. Last week we didn't do too well. I knew Bo Nickel was going to lose. Fuck Bo Nickel. I'm not going to say the hype is over or anything like that. I'll make a video on that separately. No time for me to waste here talking about this. None of that. Let's just get down to it and let's get down to lock of the week.
Fuck all you faggots up in the fucking crowd. Come down here and get some, you pussy ass bitch.
Yes, lads. This week we are locking Chuck Buffalo, Charles Radke. Now, look, I understand. People don't like Charles Radke. People don't like the character. People don't like who he is. He's not the greatest person. But look, I'm going to be honest. It's mixed martial arts. The meme that I'm going to use is the surprised fella, the black lad. Because being 100% honest here, when a fighter is bad, they're in a sport where they're kicking lads' heads in. What are you expecting? You're not going to get the best people. For every Max Holloway, for every Dustin Poirier, for every Robert Whittaker, for every fucking DC, for every fucking nice person like that, you're going to have a John Jones, like a Drakus, a Sean. A bad person, like people that aren't good in real life. They're just not good people, and they ever have been. Dumas has 14 fucking convictions. He's one of the most convicted UFC fighters. He's still there. They're not good people. But do I care? No. I believe that Charles Radke is someone that I'm not going to go, oh, he's terrible outside the cage. Oh, fuck him. I can't support him. Oh, I only care about what's going on in the cage, okay? I'm going to be realistic. And I do think Charles Radke has the opportunity to beat Mike Malott. I don't believe that Mike Malott is that good. I have to be honest, I lost like the one he had to Neil Magny, where he was maybe pushed a little bit too quickly. He didn't really have many wins, but that division was also stale at the time. Kind of kills your confidence. The man was literally 1 minute away from having a big win in the top 15 to get finished by just gassing. And look, I won't argue that his gas tank still isn't good. He still does not have a very, very good gas tank. He can wrestle, but for how long? Like, I believe that his gas tank will probably fade again. He doesn't still have good gas tank. Even in the Trevin Giles fight, he just wrestled. He doesn't have stand-up. He doesn't really have any other plan B. It's just, if the wrestling doesn't work, then yeah, okay, the stamina starts to fade. If you're against someone like Neil Magny at the time, where he wasn't as badly washed as he is, to flip it over and get him back on top, or to actually cause some scrambles, his stamina gets out, and I believe Charles Radke can finish him. I believe there's a round 2 or 3 finish for Charles Radke here. His stand-up is really actually decent. I like Charles Radke's stand-up. The only loss he really has in the UFC is to Prates. I don't see any issue with that. There's nothing wrong with losing to Prates. It was a dangerous knee, fair enough. But he still stood with a man in no real fear. That's what I like about Chuck Buffalo. That's what I like about Charles Radke. He's one man who doesn't have any fear and will stand with most people. I think he's going to have good enough takedown defense to stop Mike Malott. Mike Malott is fucking nothing special in wrestling, to be honest. I think Radke can catch him on the feet. I think Radke can finish him. Because if it goes to decision, I'm fucked. Okay, I'm going to be realistic. This bet's dead in the water. Because the Canadians not losing in Canada, and that's obvious. But I do believe Charles Radke finishes him. So we'll go on to the favourites. Favourites is also into the same thing that I keep saying about the Canadians. As you can see, this is the favourite Aka. We're going to start with Asman Bukankin, I think is how you say his name. Let's just call him Barsecki. Let's just call him Barsecki. Barsecki over here is who I'm going to pick. If I'm going to be honest, I do think this is strange matchmaking by the UFC to give him Brad Katona. Not that Brad Katona is a bad fighter. He isn't. I like Brad Katona. He can take an extremely amount of damage. Other than that, not the greatest. But this man has only lost to Umar Nurmagomedov, who's fought for the title. I don't really understand it. He put in a good performance. He dropped Umar. He looked gritty. It was his first fight in the competition. He came from the UE. What is it? The fucking United Emirates Eagles, or what the hell that promotion's called, Khabib's promotion. He looks good, and I really think this is a strange matchup. I don't even see this going to decision and Brad Katona being able to win, because this is just going to be that obvious of domination. I believe Bresky pulls out a submission around 1 or 2 in this fight. I don't think Brad Katona is able to stay alive. He can take some mad damage on the feet, but the wrestling of Brisky here is big. Fucking Bisky has some mad wrestling, and that's why I'm going to take it at 10-17. Nothing crazy, just into the Yaka. Next, we go on to Marc-Andre Benut. Now, Marc-Andre, to me, I think is in a strange fight because him and Bruno Silva are both on bad skids. I'm going to pick him because he's Canadian, as I keep saying. This is going to be kind of the team of this card. They're both on 3-fight skids. They've both been finished in the first round twice. At least being fair, if I'm going to be fair to Marc-Andre Burnett, he was in the Chris Barnett fight, and Joe Fifes and Dustin Suits are not people to be that disheartened to be finished by in the first round. Bruno Silva is also another person who's on a 4-fight losing streak. He's gone to a lot more decisions, but it's one of those ones where even if I think this goes to decision, I think Marc-Andre Burnett puts in enough of a performance to be able to win it. Nothing crazy. Bruno Silva's been acting kind of strange outside the octagon, and a few of his press conferences he's just looked a bit erratic, and it just seems to kind of be, I think, the career's on the downslide. So we're going to pick Marc-Andre Burnett. Next we're going to Jazz Vicious. So Jazzy go over here, I'm just picking her because honestly I don't think Jessica Andrade is the same person she was before. She has been able to stop a lot of rising contenders, being fair to Jessica Andrade, and I don't think she's a bad fighter at all. This fight's actually quite high in the card, but so is the Mike Meloff fight and a few others. There's quite a few high fights in this card. But if we're going to be realistic, Jessica Andrade, she only really loses to the top people in her division. Like, she's been able to knock out Mackenzie Dern, Mayana Rodriguez retired, okay. She lost to Tatiana Suarez, Yan, Aaron Blanchfield, Silva, but she's able to take down people like Leon Murphy, Amanda Lemos, Silvia Cantavillo. Like, not bad people to take out. I just believe that Jasmine is on a bit more of the rise in this division. She's being Mirabal Silva, Andy Lepsky, Fada McClain. Like, they're not massive contenders, but they're also people you need to beat to get up the ranks. I believe that this will be a bit of a sloppy one, maybe just wrestling from Jazzy being a bit heavy. I will say Jessica Andrade's hands are still heavy, and if she stays on the feet with her for long enough, it could be a bit fucked. But I could see Jasmine just scraping the decision here by Canadian. What else can I say? I'm going with Marion Farrow. Now, this might seem very unfair to the Bullet Valentina Shevchenko. She is the champion, but I do believe that Marion Farrow is coming in. I think she's the perfect kryptonite to Valentina's sort of style. Valentina usually is able to dominate a lot of fighters with strike, and I know in her last fight with Carrasco it was just kind of sit on her for 25 minutes and just not really waste any position because you could get submitted, and I don't think that's a smart way to fight against Marion Farrow. I think Marion Farrow has brilliant takedown defense. She's beaten everyone top division. She goes to a lot of decisions. I see this one also being a decision. I could just see her kind of just edging it with just stand up with her kickboxing. I do believe she has some better stand up. She's 7-0 in MMA in UFC, sorry. She's beaten Chaminian now, but Chikazian, Rose Namajunas, Aaron Blanchfield, Myrna Silva, Tabitha Ricci. These are all big wins, and I do believe that she is the next person to take home the belt for France and to do it. She's also French in Quebec, Canada. You could see the crowd go to her, and if the crowd goes to a fighter in this sort of venues, you will see something happen, and you will see kind of just the person the crowd's on, the judges will give. But next we'll go down to the underdogs. Look, there's not many on this card. I'll be 100% honest. This is going to be a really, really fast picks video. This card is quite horrendous for picks and everything. So, I'll be honest. This is a flip of a coin sort of stuff. So, if I get all this wrong, I'll hold my hands up. This is flip stuff. I won't lie. This is a hard card to back. If someone gets everything that they picked tonight right, you're the fucking man. You're Jesus Christ and picking bets, because I don't think that's going to happen for anyone. But on to the underdogs. We have Alexa Grasso. I'm going to pick her over Natia Silva. I know everyone I've said in this video so far has lost to Natia Silva besides Marion Farrow. To me, I still believe that Alexa, the original, her actual given name, I never realised is Karen, which doesn't really sound great, Karen Grasso, so Alexa makes more sense. Alexa, I believe, can come in here, and I think she's just more lively. I think it's just that if someone was to grab the finish in this fight, I believe it's Alexa with the wrestling. I believe that it would be the sort of grappling and takedowns, and maybe even a rear naked or something slipping in from a Natia Silva mistake. I don't think either of them really have the boxing. That's probably Natia Silva's side, but not by a straight amount. Alexa has fixed her hands up quite a bit, and I think Grasso is just the one to be able to just hold this out and ride the decision. I don't see a finish in this fight, but I do see Alexa being able to hold that out and ride for the decision. Maybe land a few heavier shots to get Natia kind of thinking, but that's what I'm kind of thinking about this one. So we're gonna pick Grasso. And the second fight of the night, we're going with Lee over here. I'm not going to try and pronounce the Korean name, but we're going to go with Lee over here at evens. He's fighting Daniel Silva, Willie Cat, on 2 weeks' notice. I don't really like Daniel Silva or Daniel Santos that much. Not much of a Daniel Santos fan. I do think that he's a lively one. He's great. He's hard to get out of there. I just think Lee will be able to outwork him for 25 minutes. I think Lee takes this one on evens. I don't really think there's much grappling potential or strike potential between them. Very well rounded fighters. I just think Lee edges it for me on decision. I think that one should be a good fight. But what we'll do now is we'll get down to the ACA. Here's the ACA right there as I go through it. There's Bazkat Al-Kaman, I think is how you say his name. Marc-Andre Bullet. Jazzy, Faro, 10 around gives you 63 back. The odds have actually changed massively in these, so these have now split. I assume a lot of people have thought about the whole Canadian aspect of a lot of these, but at the same time, that's the ACA. And yeah, that's going to be the picks. To be honest, I don't really have anything else to say. This is going to be a very, very short one. But if you did enjoy the video, please hit the like button or hit the subscribe button. I'll see you next time. Peace.